that means we are live here on our YouTube channel for our daily tackle trading halftime report. We've got a full crew here. Coach Tim, Coach Mark, Coach Frank, Coach Cody, all here just to have a good time, talk about the markets today. Let's start with Frank. Frank, welcome to our halftime report. How you doing, brother?
Yeah, great to be here, and good morning or afternoon, halftime crew, and hello, YouTube. Always good to see you guys. Great to be here on Friday, Frank Day, which is a thing now, Mark. We've made it official last week.
I don't know, do not know their love for alliteration, but Frank Friday is just
Frank
perfect
Friday,
for these guys.
Everybody loves
I think Mark's falling in love with alliteration because
I assure you, I am not.
What was the one he had yesterday that he gave us?
Therapy Thursday.
Therapy Thursday,
yeah.
And now he's Frank Friday. Mark, you are falling in love with alliteration.
Wicked Wednesday. Oh, we're gonna annoy Mark today. That way. Mark, how are you doing today, by the way?
I don't care. Just move on to the actual things.
We could have a Mark Monday.
Hey, listen, listen, I will be doing
Mark
great.
Monday.
If you do that, I will never show up on the halftime report ever again. I'm just excited for the Utes to play USC tonight. That's what I'm excited about.
Oh, I didn't know that game was Friday night.
I got my gear on. I'm ready.
Hey, listen, college football is always a good time. There's no doubt about it. And here in Utah, it's our only thing we've got. We don't got an NFL team. We got the University of Utah, BYU, Utah State, some good college programs. So that'll be a fun one to watch. I know Coach Noah is a huge Ute fan, season ticket holder, the whole 9 yards. S&P's doing nothing, guys. 5 days in a row here. We are flat on the week pretty much. You know, we were down, we were up, we're back and forth. We had a Fed meeting, and yet we're still stalling at resistance. Frank, we're above moving averages, but below resistance. How do you read that?
A big nothing sandwich. It's been, I mean, it was kind of a letdown, I think, for the market. You know, everybody talking, Fed meeting, and blah, you know, nothing happens. Right now, I mean, it's not just the S&P, everything. Well, that's a stretch. Most things are below resistance right now. And so who wants to be first? I don't. I know none of you guys do. So, I mean, we're kind of in the wait and see mode, I believe.
Yeah, I'm drawing you a nothing sandwich here.
Drawing you a nothing sandwich. I like
it. With some fries.
Well, you take your time on a nothing sandwich. Stay theta positive, right? I think that's
exactly
kind of the right idea. Mark, how do you approach a condition like this?
I play video games and wait for something to happen while my cash flow trades are expiring worthless. You know, collecting theta. Listen, you got a very narrow range over the last 7-8 days. I mean, we got this big, broader range, but you got a little narrow range. For directional trades, I think you have to wait for a break one way or another.
Yeah.
Cash flow trades, hey, do your cash flow trades and go enjoy your life. That's what I love about cash flow trading.
Well, theta and vega are not dependent on the directional nature of the market. Obviously, you can have systems that work in that fashion. And we're drawing the old nothing burger. Is that a Whataburger there, Cody? Or are we talking strawberry shake with In-N-Out burger?
No, it's definitely not going to be In-N-Out. It's either Whataburger or I was actually going to make a tackle trading nothing burger.
Yeah.
So we have our TT there.
Yeah. Beyond Meat patty right in the middle for our vegan friends, right? We'll keep driving up.
Beyond Meat is terrible. Try one of those. What is that other vegan company? The Burger King starting to do things with.
Oh, I don't know.
Impossible. The Impossible Whopper.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which I actually thought was curious. Do you notice that they don't say 100% meat free or 100% meatless? They say 100% beefless.
I didn't think it was too bad.
Well, my question is it completely vegetarian? Because they keep saying 0% beef. They don't say 0% meat. All their commercials say 0% beef.
Only a Texan would catch on that and think that they're somehow sneaking pork into the Impossible Burger there, Frank.
Hey, there's only one way to make it taste that good.
Oh, all right. Break through the indexes one at a time.
Now, is Hawaii is Cody a Texan anymore, or is he Hawaiian?
No, don't.
Once a Texan, always a Texan.
Don't do that to
question. Yeah, that'll start a fight from Hawaii. He'll start throwing stones.
All right. Moving on to the Dow Jones, guys.
All right, YM Doji, NQ Doji, RTY Doji. Indexes in general, and we're going to be breaking down the sectors during our weekly scouting report meeting and kind of giving them rankings. There's individual companies, guys, that are breaking out in bullish. There are some that are bearish, but in general, the whole market is hesitating. And here's the broad question about stocks right now. You don't have to play stocks. You can play commodities. You can play, all the different futures or Forex products. You can do theta within the stock market. But the broader question on stocks is, it's going to make the market break out in the fourth quarter. Triple witching Friday. We're in the end of the third quarter here. We're heading into earnings season in 2 weeks. We don't have another Fed meeting until the end of October, early November. Frank, what do you see in the economy right now that might make this thing actually break and run?
My answer will probably drive Mark crazy, but I don't know and I don't care. It'll break and that'll be our signal. And we trade it. The reasons why, you guys are a lot smarter about me on that stuff. I'll be the first to admit it. I don't care what the reasons why are as a trader. So I don't know. I don't really see anything that jumps out to me, but I mean, you could make that argument a lot of the times, and so for me, it'll just be wait for the break. And if you see it, roll with it.
It's a really good point because, quite frankly, I do think that I fall victim to this, and I'm guilty of this at times, where you start pontificating, big word, about economic indicators of what may or may not happen. But at the end of the day, the signal is the signal. Price action is king, right? I mean, Mark, you're a technician first and foremost. We talk fundamental analysis on the podcast, the halftime report. We do break down those indicators.
Yeah, I'm a technician first and foremost. Frank is what I call a pure technician, a term I use for someone who only uses the chart to analyze and determine, what to do. Just 100% pure technician, like only uses technical analysis. And I think a lot of people would be a lot better off if they approached it from that way.
Yeah.
Because I think the human brain is not as big as we would like it to think it is.
Yeah.
I know my human brain isn't as big as I'd like it to be. But the one thing that for me, and I can only speak for myself, I believe that once we kind of get that bias, it should, we look for reasons, and we also assume everybody else agrees with us. We assume that, I think the economy is going down. I just assume that I'm right. Everybody has to agree with me. When I say it out loud, it sounds insane. I stay away from, the events. Sure, I'm aware of the events, but I'll let the price action tell me where to go. I'm not smart enough to, I'm not an economist. I'll be the first to admit that.
Well, none of us are. We're armchair economists. We're traders first, and we do need to trade the chart and our data that is in front of us. No question about it. I'll tell you, a price action that's grabbing my eye from a stock perspective is Netflix today. I don't know if you guys saw this. Down big on some pretty negative commentary from their CEO. And by the way, CEO just said what everybody knows. They've got stiff competition from Disney, from Apple, from other areas in the market. They're concerned about subscriber growth. This stock is taking it on the chin here on a Friday, and this is well before their earnings report. It's been bearish for some time. Mark, give me a read on that one, if you will.
Well, I mean, we talked about this in the lounge this morning. I mean, you had short-term support, you break. You didn't have anything for $40, $30. I mean, and then if you look at a 15-minute chart, you just had short-term support level after short-term support level break. Listen, Netflix dog, it's been a dog for a while. Everything the CEO said, like you said, everyone already knew all of this. Netflix is really overvalued, and the days of Netflix being the game in town, it makes you wonder what Netflix is even going to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now. What's its place? I don't have Netflix anymore, and I'm not alone. Subscriber growth went down.
Yeah. But from a broad perspective, maybe this just is kind of a correction with the PE ratio. This stock had like a 230 PE ratio last year.
Yeah. And do you think a company with lowering subscriber growth should have a PA ratio at all that's unreasonable?
No.
I think that's what investors are queuing in on, and I think that's why Netflix is taking the beating over the last few months.
Those high PE ratio companies that are based on, fluff and kind of the expectations of future growth and all that kind of stuff, when they turn down, they get hit on the, right on the nose. And this is what's happening with Netflix here today and over the last 3 or 4 months as well. I mean, Frank, that's probably not a new entry point. I know we got to catch it a little bit cleaner than that, but generally bear is going to be on a bear watch list for you.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Build a little 3-4 day floor, break that, rally up, let that 9 catch up, see what happens there. Yeah, whatever you think about Netflix, this chart is hideous and has been for a while. This didn't do it any favors. It's not any prettier after today.
Sure. Yeah. and One area of the market that's doing really well today is healthcare. Give me XLV, if you will, here, Cody. And kind of a tough one to rank. There's no question, just because the nature of, drug manufacturers versus biotech versus healthcare plans. But guys, that's a little bit of a breakout for me here, Mark. We're above moving averages, starting to strengthen. We've got to upgrade that one, I'm sure.
I want to talk about your favorite show on Netflix.
No,
he took
I
Tim's
watch
transition and he said, "No, we're going back."
I watch comedy specials on Netflix. I don't like run streaming of The Office and all that garbage that a lot of people love, by the way, some of the most watched ones, but I actually like comedy on Netflix. It's probably why I keep it the most. Is I'll watch like Bill Burr and those kind of guys when they come out with new comedy specials. What do you watch on Netflix? Did you ever use that?
Bill Burr's latest special was hilarious. Very anti-PC. As far as anti-PC as he could go, he went.
Correct.
He tried to break the internet, and I think he might have succeeded. Or break Netflix. I personally like documentaries. If you give me a good documentary that's talking about, Nordic history, World War II, things like that, those I could sit and watch those for hours and hours.
For
And I
sure.
put them on passively. Like I'll just have it on while I'm like day trading or something on my days off. And I love it.
What's that one about serial killers? Is that a Netflix show? Frank, you turned me on to.
Confession tapes.
There's a bunch of them on there. I mean, that first of all, here's an indicator that Mark is bored with
Blacklist.
the market
That's
today.
a good one.
He literally wants to go into talking about Netflix shows instead of talking about crude oil. That's usually
No, you gave me a choice of healthcare. No, I wouldn't have brought up that question if you brought up crude oil.
All right, move on to crude oil then. We'll break down stuff.
We have to get back to the market. We can't keep talking Netflix.
We can. Backfill, pullback, pivot here, guys. Couple of dojis. I'm interested. I don't know if I would take this delta bullish, but something like a bull put spread deep out of the money or naked puts on USO. Frank, that gap out was significant from a technical perspective. And then backfilling that gap into old resistance is very classic technicals. Is this a signal you're interested in buying here?
Well, I'm a wimp, so no, but it is absolutely a signal that I believe you can take. Need a little upward movement. I don't think we have confirmation yet, but that could happen very early next week. As long as we hold that low from this week, I would have no objection if someone called this a pullback. I'd have no objection if someone traded into it. I'm with you though, T. I think it's still much like Mark. This has been a cash flow or intraday play, not a swing trading environment for me at all. And it's not done enough to make me get off of that stamp. So, the credit side to the bullish, I absolutely could be interested in that. Directionally speaking, from a swing trader, I get it, but I'm a wimp.
Yeah, Mark, what about you? I mean, crude oil is one of the products you watch the most. And when you do the commodity report for tackle trading on the weekend, this is the number one product, and gold, those two, 1A, 1B, that you spend the time on breaking down. What's your read here on crude oil?
I mean, it's at short-term resistance, which makes it, once again, love cash flow. I've been very adamant, for months and months and months about cash flow in oil. That's not changed. It's just all about timing now. It's at resistance. I don't do bullish strategies at resistance. So either wait for it to break out or wait for a little bit deeper pullback before you sell those puts to cash flow.
Yeah.
Like Frank, though, I have no idea why you would directionally trade oil right now. Day trade it. Yeah. Cash flow it. Heck yeah.
Yeah.
But
It's
directionally trade it. No.
Product. With that disruption in Saudi Arabia, Mark, with the supply, I don't know if you saw this, the energy, whatever they call it, the minister over there, whoever's in charge of that, said by the end of the month, they're going to have that back up and running. The demand,
because they're a well-oiled machine.
Pun intended, I'm sure.
That pun was definitely intended.
The demand argument globally, is it still weak for oil?
Yeah, sure.
So supply has to stay and maintain consistency. So is neutral the way you're approaching this one in general?
Yeah, and once again, in neutral, when you have a range like oil's in right now, I mean, you just don't sell puts or buy for your cash flow when it's at resistance. Like you just wait. Wait for a cheaper price because you're going to be cash flowing this ideally for a long time. So just don't buy at resistance, no matter what you do in anything.
Correct. Yeah. That's a bad plan, not a good strategy to buy before a breakout. There's no doubt about it. I have heard educators say that in the past, which is just absolutely crazy to me, that they're going to buy in anticipation of the breakout. That wouldn't make a lot of sense. Let's move on through the energy sector and some of the other areas in the energy sector that are grabbing my attention. Natural gas. I like the pullback. It is not finding a green candle here today, though. We broke out. We hit the 200. Look at that. Perfect, guys. I mean, Frank, you're a technician through and through. It hit that 200 to a penny, came back. Now we're going to be approaching some rising moving averages and old support. Is this a bullish retracement you guys are interested in? Let's start with Frank, then Mark, then Cody.
Nope. It's in a pinch now. It is now pinched between a lot of stuff. It needs to basically break resistance. The one thing that we kind of walked through this in the last days of the market recap, and you saw it, again on that break that you have there was just nothing. We had the break closing above the 50, easily filling up into that 250 range, broke out, easily filling up into the 200, and now we've got some serious challenges. You've got those short-term rising up, the 200 still falling down. This is what Mark and I call a pinch, and I think we've got to come out of it before we can trade it again.
Mark, statistically, who wins that fight long term? Is there an advantage? Is it just a fight not worth taking a side on?
Betting on the rising moving average is the probability side.
Mm-hmm.
I like it for cash flow trading now on UNG, but if you're directional trading, which is how Frank was answering that, the rising moving average. So if you wanted to play the retracement, you would have to a very short term, like 1 or 2 day to trade. It would be betting that the rising moving average holds. But like what you need to have happen is you need to have that rising moving average, the 9, cross the 200, get rid of that resistance area to have a really clean upward signal. But once again, like I'm just getting old. I'm happy now having broke that downward trend line, selling a put and going watching football this weekend.
I was going to say, well, first of all, I think you can learn a lot
the way
from
to trade
old
this
traders,
right here. That's the way to trade. It's not directionally. Cash flow this thing. This is a perfect retracement to sell some more puts, sell some spreads, because it would have to break this level, then break this level, then break this level, then break that one before you need to be worried if you sell something down at 2.
Yeah.
This is a beautiful cash flow opportunity here.
Bring up UNG, if you will, Cody. Obviously the futures product's a good product for a professional trader, but a lot of people don't trade futures. They trade ETF products. UNG is one that in the course of my 14, 15-year career, I've traded this one a lot, guys. It's a very, very common product. I've kind of avoided it this year. I missed a lot of the downside from a trading perspective. I took it off my cash flow list, but I'm ready to do something. I don't have any naked puts on this today. If I was going to do it
right now.
Yeah, I think it's a good play.
I was going to say, just you can copy and paste what I said from that and just adjust the numbers.
Well, what is the low price there?
What's that?
What's the low right there? 17.74.
All right, let's go through. How many total shares are you willing to own?
Let's say 500 shares to start a position.
Yeah, we'll just go sell 100 right now. Go sell one put right now. Get the party started.
Yeah.
Because if it goes down lower, you can add more. I mean, listen, I'm all about UNG stability right now.
We're going 30 days out. We're going to sell the Delta at 20. Sell. I'm going to do this mid price. Done.
By the way, a really good tool to use if you're a new trader, Cody's doing that pretty quickly and doing some math in his head. That tackled theta spreadsheet is designed to help beginners understand whether or not that's a good credit or not. I think it's intimidating, Frank, for a new trader to come in and look at all the numbers, just on the screen. It's like, where do I go? What do I do? That's where rule-based trading is very important. Naked put 28 days out. I've got the 20 strike put option. Guys, that's about a 12% ROI on margin,
See, and that spreadsheet, I have to admit, I don't use it as much as I did when I first started trading, but that's also because it's meant to help you when you first start trading. Like you said, I did that pretty quickly just because I put on so many naked puts before that I know exactly where to go to. My eyes just draw me, click the buttons, and then I go. And that's really the secret, is that after you've used the spreadsheet and you understand how the cash flow works, how the percentages work, how the theta works, then it's just a matter of clicking buttons.
Well, and there's a couple other things with that. It just keeps you process based, keeps the emotion out, and all of your rules are in the spreadsheet. If you did not attend the Cash Flow Club last night, go and download a copy of that. If you're a pro member, make sure you watch the recording. Coach Greg went through that. And Mark, I think we're actually highlighting that spreadsheet each week for about another month. Is that right?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a tool that a lot of individuals use and a lot of individuals want to learn about. And that's what we do. Our nightly shows are really geared towards education of concepts, principles, tools. We spend a lot of time during the day, the halftime report or traders lounge, analyzing what's going on in the market, doing a lot of stuff on the fly. Our nightly shows are really structured for our pro members to teach, to add to the base knowledge of, and whether it's the theta spreadsheet or the coaches show. This last Tuesday we had the put calendar back spread. So I mean, those nightly shows are really about learning, teaching. So nice little blend we have for our pro members at Tackle Trading, I think.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt. And if you're watching our show right now, by the way, this whole philosophy of selling a naked put on a commodity, I got to reinforce something that you worked on through the entire summer, Mark. It's called the boomerang trade. And in the chat, if you're watching right now, just type in boomerang trade. And Mark, you did about a 6-part series, I believe.
8-part series. And I'm not done. There's still other things I want to do, but I have my attention span sometimes gets diverted to other things. So I haven't completely finished the series, but about 8 parts. But you definitely
Warcraft doesn't help with that lately, does it?
Well, no, I mean, I talk about my for example, I'm doing about building a portfolio with commodities in it in this weekend's report.
Sure.
So there's a lot to talk about from an education standpoint.
Frank, you like naked puts?
I do. I like them on commodities, much like Mark. Generally prefer that not on stock. I like the whole boomerang philosophy a lot on commodities. For whatever reason, not so much on stock.
Well, you got the individual corporate news, and that adds a variable for a lot of traders that don't want to take delivery on, because it's harder to stay committed to a company than it is, say, oil, right?
It is. That is true. That is a good way to put it.
Or something like that. Speaking of gold and silver in the metals market, start with gold and then silver here, Cody. Palladium breaking out, copper on a pullback, platinum looking fine. But gold and silver have been flat like the stock market for most of the week here. Let's start with Mark here. Gold is now in a congestion range. You're pinching on that high side, much like natural gas coming from a downtrend into an uptrend pinch. Now we're going from an uptrend into a pullback, and now we're pinching. Mark, what would be your expectation?
I want Frank to explain the principle. This is Frank Friday. I'm just here because I don't have a damn better thing to do right now. This is Frank. I want Frank to explain the psychology of the pinch, because this thing is perfect psychology of the pinch.
Yeah, this is double pinched, actually, price pinched and moving average pinched right now. So basically what happens in a pinch, you get caught between two things, support and resistance, right? That's all a pinch is. And it really jumped out when Mark and I were going crazy on moving averages several years back. That's kind of where we came up with it. But basically, you've got something propping this up. In this case, it's a very horizontal level of support, but it's also that rising moving average as well. On the other side, we've got the moving average on top of us, as well as some old price. I mean, you have to be at least a little bit legitimately concerned. This looks a little like a head and shoulders potentially on top of that. At least to my eyes, it does. So basically, again, no one wants to go.
It definitely does, Frank. You see that.
So no one wants to go first. The simple truth is, if whatever I do, bull or bear, I make a play today, I don't have a very good leg to stand on. Now I'd go bull because the trend suggests I should, right? Bet on the trend. That's always where you should go in my mind. But we don't have to do that. We've got to get some clarity. We've got to get rid of the questions, to get rid of the reasons. Tim says bear, I say bull. We both, in my mind, have legitimate arguments. I need to get rid of Tim. He needs to get rid of me. And that's going to be what happens to get us out of this pinch. Once that happens, then we have the signal that that's the way we want to move. That may or may not be the day that we want to get in, but that is the signal that, okay, we've cleared out the top or we've cleared out the bottom. Let's look for price action to work that direction, at least in the short term.
There's a damn good bit of a philosophy there, guys. And I think there was a gem, first of all, great analysis. But what I love about that is that you're thinking about both sides of a position. And there's old, law school theory, Mark. I never went to law school, but the idea was if you're going to be a good lawyer, you have to be able to argue both sides, right? The bull side, the bear side. When you're trading, we're constantly evaluating why would people buy, why would people sell, and we're thinking through that. Because if you get stuck on your bias, you're going to be looking at it through rose-colored glasses. A gold bull probably just wants to own it forever, and I have no problem with the logic behind that. If you're owning it to hedge against currency inflation, it's a long-term investment. It's a percentage of your portfolio, whether that's 5, 10, or 30, you've designed your portfolio design. But on the short-term, Mark, there's not much there,
unless you're cash flowing.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, individuals that have been cash flowing gold, there have been no bad times in 2019.
Nope.
Like, it has been a wonderful year for cash flowing gold. And there's been those little power boost of directional trade where, hey, gold's going crazy for a few weeks, but cash flow trading gold, it's just been consistent.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I don't know, I don't see that changing anytime soon.
No, right now we are steady as
I mean, think about this.
goes.
Fast forward 10 years, and let's say we have loose monetary policy forever, which is not the worst bet in the world. I mean, think about the next 10 years cash flowing just a small percentage of your portfolio in gold.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, do you really want to be here in 2029 with us with grayer beards and more wrinkles saying, God, it has been a great decade to cash flow gold? Like, do you want to be on the other end of listening to that, being like, I really wish I would have taken that easy route? Make a commitment today.
I agree. Long-term thinking for your investing portfolio and cash flow are central principles to how I trade. You guys have said it many different ways throughout today's show. I mean, you're going to wait for clarity on direction, but outside of that, when you're busy or bored and the markets are boring right now, you just cash flow, data positive. It's what you do.
Hey, if we're gonna, that just made me think of something. Let me change the sharing of my screen here to where I'm sharing. Over on Tackle Trading, there's the compounding gains calculator. If we were to cash flow gold, what are we going to go out? 12 months, 12 years? How long do we want to go out? 10 years?
Well, Mark said 10
months?
years when we're grayer and more wrinkles and all that kind of stuff.
120 months?
Yeah, sure.
What's a decently good rate of return that we can expect that's not, taking in some losses or whatever? Let's just average this out. Let's say
that you make, let's even be very conservative and say you do 1% a month.
1% a year. I was thinking the exact same thing.
1% a month. Are we going to add to our gold investment per month?
I usually tell people if you're starting with less than say 50K, you should build your portfolio through profit and reinvestment.
All right, I'm going to say we're going to start with $1,000.
Why do you say so many smart things when we're not playing games on the podcast?
So we're going to start with $1,000, or let's start with $100. Start with $100, and we're going to add $100 a month for the next 10 years.
Now your starting balance was $100.
Oh, we can start with 1,000.
Yeah, $1,000 today turns into $26,000 over a 10-year.
And you know what? Even if we started with 100, guys. So for those of you that are thinking like, well, I don't have $1,000 right now. If I go to $100 and I put in $100 a month, it's still 23,000.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt you to get started. Whatever you have to get started with, get started. 1% a month over 10 years becomes $23,000.
One of my pet peeves in our industry is when you see these emails and marketing and all these guru types talking about the secrets to wealth, right? Frank, the secret to making a lot of money is pretty simple. You work to earn money, you then reinvest the money, and you don't spend it all on stupid crap, right?
Exactly. One other thing, you hang around.
Yep.
You stick around. You still trading in 10 years, you're going to be doing something right.
Yep.
Stick around.
You're going to have ups, you're going to have downs. And that's why we said conservatively 1%. Because could you cash flow 3% a month on gold for 7 months in a row? Yeah, you could.
Sure, but you're going to have volatility too.
I know, but that's my point. That's why we did a conservative 1%. But could it be better? Yes. Could you have a losing month? Yes.
Write in the phrase in the chat here, guys. I love the idea here, Cody. First of all, write in get rich slow. Okay. And those targets.
Now you came up with that phrase, didn't you, Tim?
I did.
because I hadn't heard it anywhere else. And when I heard you say it the first time, I was like, I like it.
Yeah.
It's a good way to put it. I usually say what I see happen with new traders is a lot, and present company included. At least from my side, our goals are skewed. Our goal should be to make money and then to make more money. So goal one is to make money. Then goal two can be to make more. But so often as new traders, we try to skip step one. We don't want to make money. We want to make more money.
Yep.
And it causes a lot of problems with poor decision making.
I feel like I'm just getting knowledge from you guys right now.
Philosophy Friday.
That's what, no, not philosophy. That's what we bring on a Frank Friday. There's no doubt about it. Just bringing the gems. That is what it is. And my sweetheart's coming on in here. Say hi, Sammy.
Hey, Sammy.
YouTube audience. Let's break down the pound dollar cross pair, Cody. You and I were talking currencies, then the dollar index as well. Real quick look at the currency markets. I know
But Mark's going to want to blow his brains out like he said yesterday if we go into currencies.
He was being a little bit melodramatic. I don't know if you know that about my brother or not. Every now and then. The pound dollar, there's optimism. We're going to get a Brexit deal. I feel like Charlie trying to kick the football from Lucy on this Brexit thing for 3.5 years.
So I read the headline and I put it in the prep notes, and I really wanted to put it in there as one of those overarching headlines. So this kind of falls back to what Frank was saying, where he doesn't really follow news. He doesn't care. He watches the chart. Sometimes the news will take anything they can and make it sound like it's this huge deal. So a headline that I put in the prep notes was saying that the sterling is up off of Brexit deal might go through. And it's like presses new high this week. That doesn't look like anything much interesting to me. So I really put that in there because I just want to point out that the news headlines don't always drive the market. If anything, the market drives the news headlines. You have journalists trying to, make their quota, make a headline for that day.
Anybody holding the pound dollar longer than about 2 hours is braver than I am right now.
Yep.
I will tell you that. I'll day trade any of these Forex pairs, even though it's less than, say, 3% of my trades by the end of the month. I don't do a lot of Forex day trading, but when I do, it's usually because something is happening in the news-based trades, stuff like that. The pound dollar is one I'm staying away from. I'm seeing weakness in some of the areas, though. I know that we were thinking maybe the Aussie and the New Zealand dollar were splitting, Cody. They're both going down for about 2 weeks.
Yeah, they're going down. Well, the reason we thought they were splitting is when you look back, the beginning of the week, this is the Aussie when it looks like it's staying up, whereas the New Zealand dollar was already on its way back down. And then basically that gave us the opportunity that said one of them was going to correct to meet the other, whether that was going to be the New Zealand dollar whipping back to the upside or the Aussie whipping to the downside. So that was a fantastic K trade opportunity between those two. And the Aussie is the one that ended up triggering. And these 3 days, this is a big movement for a currency.
Yeah, they're not going to split. I mean, go back and look at monthly charts and kind of look at the correlation. It's one of the strongest correlations there are across any market there is. By the way, I don't know if you know this, the CAD and the Swiss franc are very strongly correlated as well.
Yes, they are.
They trend together quite often. I mean, the yen can move in different directions, pound can move in different directions because they're, a little bit different kind of currency. Break it all down in the Forex markets here this weekend. If you're a Forex trader, always check out Cody's stuff. And we got a course coming up on our pro membership. The Forex 101 course, which is due out, Cody, in about 10 days.
It's due on the 30th. I know. I gotta get everything wrapped up in a nice little bow so we can get that thing launched.
So every day it's not released after the 30th, there is going to be a 1-minute segment on the halftime report shaming you.
He has to trade for every day it doesn't come out. If it doesn't come out on time, he has to trade each of us one of his fantasy football players.
I like that a lot, actually.
Yeah. Y'all see this hazing that's going on, crew? Y'all see the hazing that's happening, and they're already betting against me. I have 10 days to finish this up. They don't even know what I've done already.
We got some Clubhouse questions, but I do want to talk about a few different other stocks actually real quick here. First, give me a look at Bitcoin, BTC, USD. We're not going to spend long on this one. We have found the price of Bitcoin. It is 10,000 a coin for now. It's most interesting to me that we have no volatility of this product. As crazy as it was for months and months and months, Frank, now it's Doji Fest.
Yeah. And it did this before. This isn't the first time it's done it. It's kind of go ham for a little while and then just hang out. This isn't tempting anybody on either side, bull, bear. So just a lot of little intraday back and forth stuff. So until we get something, and I'm not a Bitcoin guy at all, but if I were, still couldn't touch it today, one way or the other.
Yeah. Yeah. It also makes you a little bit more nervous, in my opinion, because now it's like, well, where's the noise? It's going to be coming here soon. I mean, at least when it's moving, you can get your head around the volatility. Roku, we had this on yesterday's show as a part. What was that segment we were calling it?
Marriage counseling or marriage options.
See, we said maybe you got to be patient. Just Roku might have just broke up with us.
That's exactly what Roku
not
did.
waiting here.
Roku just cheated on us and then just walked out the door.
Down 15% or something like that. Oh my goodness. I mean, just an analyst downgrade, I believe.
This is right in line with the Netflix thing. Basically, the news of there's a lot of people competing in this sector. So Netflix hit and Roku hit. They're both one and the same as to why it's being hit. But Roku did also get a downgrade, I believe, from a neutral to a sell. So those two combined is why Netflix took a 19.9% down.
That's up, guys. I mean, that is a parabolic uptrend that now has turned into a swift sell-off, Frank. Sometimes you feel like the bigger they are, the harder they fall. That's exactly what's happening here with Roku. I don't know anywhere I could come in and confidently play this at this point.
It's not you, it's me.
Yeah, this is going to need some time to work this one out. Happy for you if you're short.
Yeah,
this is like the X keying your car or something, or like this is extreme. This wasn't just a walkout.
Correct.
Your wife mad at you, Cody?
Yeah.
No, my wife's always she's the joy.
She is. Yeah, she is the better half of that relationship. There's no doubt about that. Apple Computer released their new iPhone.
Have you ever heard a guy say, "No, I'm the better half of the relationship"?
That's a Trump, right? No, we'll leave that. Right. Apple Computer, guys, they put their new iPhone 11 on sale today. Incredible, selling it for $1,000 a phone, discounts if you got certain service providers and all that kind of stuff. Not really going anywhere. I did see some positive commentary out of analysts. I thought maybe we were going to see some upside, guys, but you got a weird wedge pattern here, Frank, where it's kind of, you had a big range there for a long time, but now we're tightening and we're compressing, and it's got me concerned one way or the other. What do you see here in this chart, Frank?
You pretty much nail it right on the head. It feels like it's going to keep inching up, in one of these days in the not terribly distant future, it's going to clear out the top. There's still some messy stuff going a little back further on the chart. That's kind of, for me, I'm not really interested in anything on Apple right now because we have just overhead stuff. And so I think it's going to be one of those kind of work our way up, stick our nose above resistance, and then all of a sudden we're back at the actual highs there and have an actual clear breakout. As long as we're holding support. And that's the key here. We've continued to hold support, higher lows constantly along the way. Not a great trading chart, though, not to me.
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of maybe a hold if you're a long-term investor.
Oh, sure.
Still a very, very good company, still in an uptrend, just broke a new resistance point here recently, but I've got concerns about the wedge as well. TXN and MCD, real quick peek at those two here, Cody. Increase on the dividend, old Texas Instruments. TXN is
TXN.
Yeah. Dividend paying company here, market an uptrend, pretty stable, pretty safe. McDonald's, consumer staple company, increase their dividend as well.
They increased a lot, didn't they?
8%, yeah.
That's quite a bit.
Not to 8%. They popped it up 8% from what it was, and they announced it for the next quarter. Mark, a little bit of a concern in the pattern here, but
dude, I refuse to talk about McDonald's till they release the McRib. All right, I'm on strike.
Fair enough. I got no problem with that. And guys, that's our roundup of stocks. We're now going to answer a few questions from our clubhouse. Cody, kind of set this one up, if you will.
All right, guys. So as you know, if you were to go to techtrade.com, and let me change what I'm sharing over here. All right. So if you go to Tackle Trading, you go right up here to the clubhouse, it will open for you. This is where we go. Oh, I guess I got to sign in. Oh, I'm already signed in over here. So you go to the clubhouse, and this is kind of what it looks like. You have various different categories. This is where, if you have questions that you want to ask us, this is the platform we want you guys to go to. Go through, again, I'll show you through Clubhouse right there at tackletrading.com. If you have questions on here, this is where you put them in. And what we're going to do on Fridays is we're going to be taking some of these questions live. So we're always going to have a coach or someone that's in there to answer questions. And of course, all of our veteran students Don't be shy. If you know the answer to a question that a new student's asking, jump in there and ask. This is the community page where we want everyone to talk, go back and forth, and discuss the different trades and help each other out. So from here, today we're going to be doing a mailbag. We're going to be taking 2, maybe 3, depending on time. We're already kind of pushing the clock right now. And just answer those live for what you guys have. So from now on, every Friday, know that we're going to be doing a mailbag. If you have questions, make sure you put them over here in the clubhouse.
Yep.
With that, guys, let's jump right in.
Now, we got a couple here. We also have one outside the clubhouse, Mark. I want to be ready to talk about that one as well. And in fact, I think Swin is in here in the chat. We're going to answer your question. Scroll down a little bit here. That first one right there from David is, I think, a pretty simple one, but a good one to answer here. Read that one out loud, Cody.
Can anyone explain the difference with toss styles and studies and how to best use each?
Yep. Pop-up Thinkorswim real quick. I'll show this as well, Cody. This one's
all
easy.
Right.
You know, software use, and we've all been around this business long enough to know this is a pain point for new traders. This is an issue where it's like, I don't know how to do this, and it's intimidating, and I got to learn something new, and they get
It's a pain point for me because I don't use TOS.
Yeah.
Like learning software is not the most enjoyable activity.
Yeah. Styles are kind of like your overall chart settings saved. Okay. So once you get your moving averages and your indicators, the way that you like them, the way that you want them on a specific way you want to read a chart, you're going to save it as a style. Okay. So you save the style, you include all the patterns in study set, and like there's a button right underneath. You want to make sure you always click there. I like this style. I like it. And you misspelled style, you lose the spelling contest. That's okay.
Ah, darn.
And then a study is any of the tools that you want to build in there. And find that beaker button actually on the left, Cody. There's a couple ways you can add them.
So there's a beaker in 2 places. There's one up here and there's one here. The one here automatically opens this one, but you could always go here, edit studies, open the same page.
Correct. And over here, there's so much customizable stuff here. You can actually create custom coded indicators. You can build them in here. Like the ATR, if you ever see like a chart where the ATR is superimposed on top of the left of the chart, that's because somebody had a custom coded indicator. You can get all the defaulted ones that are in there. There's a list of like 200 or 300, but I will give some general advice. Then I'm going to get Mark and Frank's take on this. Keep it simple. Read moving averages. You know, if you're going to add an indicator or a tool, you better damn well know why you're doing it. It should not just be some happenstance thing. Oh, I'm going to try putting that on my chart. Because Frank, we've all seen those charts that just get so cluttered and so messy. It's like, how do you even see it, right?
Oh yeah. You don't need 17 different indicators. Find the ones you know and trust.
I just saw a note in the chat, so I'm jumping over to this. What just happened?
Yeah, just gave up. S&P just gave up.
What just happened?
Oh, we dropped. What do we got here? That's a 7.
Dropped 0.5%.
Yeah.
What just happened?
I'm
tweeted. I'm just
Did
guessing.
It did just ding, ding, ding.
All right, hold on. I'll stop what I'm doing. I actually figure out what's going on here.
That's running pretty quickly. You pop up Twitter and see if Trump did tweet.
I mean, that's the type of thing, right? That would.
It's about the only thing I could imagine, unless there was some kind of news.
That's significant. I mean, because there's that short-term support. Hold on one second.
Volatility heading into the end here.
Last tweet I see from Trump is 4 hours ago. So I don't think it was Trump.
It may not be Trump. That could just be an institution coming in selling. It is quadruple witching Friday here.
Yeah.
You can have weird things happen on a Friday.
Could be. Couldn't even be a news event. Yeah, it could just be technical analysis. It broke this level intraday and just started hitting those sells. They compile on top of each other. Could it be domino effect?
I'm looking through all my quick news sources. No. I don't see anything popping out, guys, in terms of significant headlines. No, that might just be institutional selling. And here's the thing. It goes back to what Frank said. It doesn't really matter what the news was.
Trump live? He says he doesn't need
Is he live?
China
talking right now?
canceled its visit. Trump says he doesn't need to deal with China. That's what it looks like it is.
It's the only thing that makes sense is that, well, I mean, it's the only variable out there other than like some kind of attack or something.
Hmm.
Free Fall Friday. Our students are cleverer than we are.
Trying to find his live
Trade war.
presser.
Listen, that thing's not
I'm
a
not seeing it anywhere.
well. Whether
Well,
or
when you
not
look at it
is
on the
trade
daily,
war.
it's not that significant really. Within intraday, it definitely is. Going into a Friday, I mean, it doesn't really violate our nothing burger as of now.
It's still the meat in the nothing burger sandwich, at least
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah, we
So
just
we'll
doubled
see.
up.
All right. Well, I cut you off in the middle of your studies rant.
No,
Tim, I
we're good. I
apologize
think
on
we
that.
got that one. Just make sure you keep it simple. And yeah. And while we answer questions, we're going to keep looking and see. Mark, see if you can find out what happened with Trump here. If it's just that live presser, what he said about China, that's interesting. Even though it is still in the middle there, guys. I mean, that is a 17-point move on the S&P in 5 minutes. That's not insignificant.
No, it's not. Well, let's move on to the next question. What was the other one that we were going to look at, guys?
No, it already popped back up.
No.
It's in Tracy mode right now.
It's already bear retracing back to 3,000. That might just be some blip, but if it was a headline,
Yeah,
I'd
I
like
mean,
to know exactly what it
market
is.
watch headlines, zero headlines, all the places I go, they're all like, market just turned negative, but nobody knows why.
There's no answer to it. Yeah.
Well, our student said that he was giving a live speech right now, so he might have said something live that we just can't find right now.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. We'll update it by the end of the day, I'm sure. So let's keep rocking and rolling. Couple more questions here, Cody, if you will.
All right. Let's see what we have over in the clubhouse. Let me go share Google again. All right. Let's see. Which question do we have?
Keep coming down. I like that one from Tom. That's
Right
a pretty
here.
good one.
All right. Well, watching the shows, I noticed when coaches manually add different kinds of contracts in order entry window, TOS would automatically detect which spread they were using. Say bull buy a call, then sell a call. TOS would automatically change the entries to vertical. Instead, TOS I'm using on a Mac would show me two different single entries. This is super cool. I wonder how I get that set up. It's actually very simple. And I'll take this one just because it's very simple. So I'm going to show you here on the S&P. Let's say we're looking to, I don't know, buy the S&P. And actually, I'll switch to SPY, not the futures, to show this. SPY. I'm waiting for the data now. It doesn't want to show it. All right, we'll go to Apple. All right, let's say I want to sell something on Apple. So I'm going to go in here and sell a put, right? So it pops up just as that simple order to sell a put. And now if I were to add to that by clicking another one, it changes it. But if I were to hold control before I select that next one, now it changes it. So when you're placing in the different orders by adding them, you have to make sure that you hold the control. That's how you get it to change automatically for you. Otherwise, it does go in as different orders. So real simple, real quick on how it does that. You know, if I just sold that vertical here and I want to make it condor, I make sure I come in here, hold control again, and select where I want the condor to be. And now it changes it to an iron condor. Oh, they don't see it. I'm not sharing the right screen, am I? Darn.
You were on such a tear that I didn't want to bother you, but it made sense. It made sense. So
all right.
Listen,
all right.
There we go.
Let me go through this one more time, guys. So rewind. All right. So on Apple, if I'm going to sell a put, then I click sell. It's going to automatically have it as a single sell order. Now, if I want to add to that order, then now it changes it to a buy. So what I want to do is make sure that I hold control down when I select the other leg. That's what makes it automatically change it for me. So now it's a vertical. So that would be a bull put spread that I just put on. Now, if I want to make it a condor, I need to make sure I hold control again and click the upper leg of the condor, and you see that it changed it there to condor. But when I'm just putting in separate orders, is when it'll end up mixing them or changing them as I go, adding that control. Or if you're weird like Matt, you can always be a right clicker and go straight to vertical this way and then change your prices to what you want. So real quick, real easy. Sorry about explaining it twice since I didn't change my screen the first time.
See, that's how I like to teach, Cody. So I thought it was a good job. Talk first, then show. Get our brains thinking. So I learned something.
I like it.
Perfect.
By the way, I just went through every single news headline. On
Isn't Frank
Thinkorswim.
so nice?
He's so pleasant.
Because I just want to make fun of Cody, and there Frank is supporting him.
Well,
I like Cody. Cody's my friend.
I agree.
I named my fantasy football team after Cody.
That he did.
Cody is my homeboy.
It made me feel guilty for the name of my fantasy football team, though.
Yeah, that's true. No, there's no news headlines I can grab that actually explain this, Mark. It might just be institutional selling. Somebody came in at resistance and hedged. Fed Chairman Bullard had some commentary, but that was earlier this morning. I saw a bunch of garbage. Oil rig counts, that's not going to move the S&P 17 points. So we'll see. Still holding support on the intraday, resistance on the intraday as well, kind of in that nothing burger sandwich backfilling. We'll see by the end of the day what happens. But we're going to do a full analysis in our scouting report meeting over the weekend, and we'll give you that as a pro member out there. Cody, one more, and I like the one we got in the email for this one. And Mark, I don't know if you have that, you could read it, and we can go through this.
Yeah, and I was going to cover this. I just didn't run out of time in the Traders Lounge this morning. So I was going to cover it, but I wanted to make sure to cover it live. Let me read it. Let me find it real quick. All right, so the question is, we have our stock reports, and we list out on our stock reports, which we release every weekend, potential entries and targets and stop loss. And then we have our option report, which we do the same. But we don't have any additional information about strike prices or deltas or expiration dates. Why don't we? And then a follow-up question on that: how do students know what option strategies to use? So we have these option setups with triggers and targets, but what strategy should they apply to the setups that we're showing?
Yeah. Whatever ones they know how to make money with. See, I think there's a long answer to this question. I'm going to give the short answer to the question. The options report is not designed to tell you what to do. It really isn't. And so I think as a student, hopefully you're identifying the value. Hopefully you're getting a lot of value out of it. We love putting them together. But Frank, whether or not somebody will trade a bull put, a bull call, or certain calls or certain legs, I mean, at the end of the day, they've got to be responsible for their own account. We're not financial advisors. We don't give
exactly. And beyond that, just to add to that really quick, Tim, I might be more aggressive on the market than Mark. So we see a breakout on BABA that happen. Theoretically, I might just want to buy a call because Yahoo, the market's going crazy, and Mark's like, that's a nice breakout. I'm going to sell some puts way the heck down here. And so it's not just what we're comfortable doing. That's a big part. If I don't know how to do a call ratio back spread, I'm not going to do one on BABA where maybe you do. But it's also our read on the market, our read on that particular stock, and so you kind of go, at least the way I do it, I'll kind of think about my playbook. Hey, this is a bullish signal. How do I want to play it? Maybe I want to compare, if I buy a call, this is, what my risk looks like. If I do a bull call, this is what it looks like. If I do, so on and so forth, to really kind of think through what fits best for me, in my mind, at least, in this particular scenario. That's how I use it, at least.
Go back to the report here for a minute, Cody, because I think this is actually a
I did want to give a little sneak peek of that.
Yeah, and no, it's okay. Bring that one up if you can. I want to pick one of these. So BABA, was it on our list?
BABA was list for the breakout.
Perfect example. Right. Okay, so above 180, below 174, those are minimum requirements. Now, how you played BABA or what you did with it, how much you put into it, comes down to portfolio design. I've mentored people for 12 years now, and working with people one-on-one. Are there commonalities from trader to trader? Sure. I mean, a bull put's a bull put spread. You do 25 delta, deep out of the money, 30 to 45 days out. You're going to have certain characteristics. But how much of your portfolio should you use that? Should you use that in your IRA or your margin account? How much, let's say you've got 50K you're working with, do you put in a $1,000 position or a $2,000 position? Do you prefer the 30-day option or the 45-day option? All of this stuff is more advanced than we could ever assume we could put into a report, guys, because that's the function of a year to a 3-year education track to get you to the point where you know how to put all the puzzle pieces together. You know, it's and I hate being as blunt as I am. Well, no, I don't. I mean, this is what it has to be. You have to understand there's a lot to running an advanced portfolio.
The point to the report is not to tell you exactly what you should do, because every single student is going to have a different strategy. Yep. Every single student is going to have a different pain threshold, a different amount of money to put in, a different strategy they understand. I would never tell someone to go out and do a ratio calendar spread or something when they have no idea what that even means. Yeah. It might be easier for me to say, hey, sell a 0.1 delta out of the money. They may not even know what that means. They may only know how to buy a stock. But these reports are simply just pointing out technical patterns that we as coaches have found and then broken down using the step system rules as to where the triggers, the stop entry target should be on these stocks.
Now, the implication report on that, by the way, I have to cut in because that is a delta qualification. They are qualified to make delta trades on. Okay. That's the only reason why they fit, Frank, because we go through a 2-3 hour meeting every Friday where we go through, and if they're not qualified for delta, they're disqualified from the report. But you can use these stocks for theta trades. You know, Coach Hero, the Theta Queen, Marie Stankus, you know, many of our veteran traders, they'll take the stocks on this report and do bull put spreads or bear call spreads or whatever it is they decide to do. There's another factor here, Mark, which is literally impossible to answer unless you're working with somebody one-on-one, is how much capital do you have? What are your objectives, right? What are your other trades? Like whether you should take a long call trade on BABA, well, do you already have 10 other stocks that you have long calls on? And how does that fit into your overall delta in your portfolio? I just want everybody in the chat to type in the phrase portfolio design. Okay. Portfolio design. We're here to help in as many different ways as we can. Mindset, mechanics, having fun, you know, you name it. We're here to build a community and to build traders. The end responsibility for how you use the money through your portfolio in your account with an edge to make money over time is on you as an individual. How can we help you? I would take the Systems 101 course, you know. I would go through mentorship. You know, I would go through and work with people one-on-one. I'd show up to the lounge every day and ask a bunch of questions. Mark, did we kind of answer this one?
I mean, it's a big, big question.
It is a big question. We could have an entire show on this question alone.
Like, because I only use those because I know how the coaches think. That is a directional delta report in my head.
Yeah.
Because the coach, the dialogue, everything, it's all from a delta perspective. Like,
yeah, but I've taken stocks from the report and did leap covered calls on them.
Well, I can do that with anything, but as far as like a student with new beginning knowledge, like once again, like applying theta strategies to it, sure, I can do that with any bullish signal. I mean, the key big takeaway here is the report, the targets, all these are, if this occurs, it is a bullish signal, or if this occurs, is a bearish signal.
Right.
We leave out what next because of the huge, as you said, amount of variables involved with that.
Think about it like this. You know, if it's on a report, that it was vetted and qualified by a team of veteran traders who know what the hell they're doing. We are experts at this stuff, guys. And it is a qualified watch list. Write that in the chat here. Qualified watch list. That doesn't mean, because Frank, I mean, I can't imagine a trader trading every stock on all reports every weekend. I don't know.
I don't know anybody that does. It would, yeah, I can't imagine me ever being that trader.
Yep, I agree. All right, I've got family here at the house. I got to run, but anything else with this one? Was there a follow-up to this, Mark, or did we hit it?
The follow-up on it was, let's see, We can cover. Listen, we got a whole bunch of questions in the podcast we're going to do Monday. Listen to the Trading Justice podcast on that we release every Monday night, every Tuesday morning, whenever you listen to it. We're going to do a student mailbag this week on the podcast. So, and if you have any questions that you would like us to address on the podcast, email me at team@tackletrading. We're going to have a nice big student mailbag section this week on the podcast.
Very, very good. And as always, Frank, it's wonderful to see you. Your hair's looking great, kid.
Thank you. It's getting there. It's getting there.
And I wish everyone good luck with your fantasy football team, unless you're playing me.
Yeah.
I respect that and agree.
Who's your must sit this weekend, Mark? A guy that you know that is just a complete avoid, that you know is going to be.
Well, once again, it's like the option report. What size of league are you playing in? Are you playing in a 10-man, a 14-man? How big's your roster?
Mark doesn't want to give fantasy football advice.
Oh, listen, 3 people that I want to destroy in fantasy football are sitting on this call. Do you think I'm going to tell you guys anything?
Yeah. All right. Healthy competition. There's no doubt about it. By the way, the Jacksonville Jaguars winning a game last night with old Gardner.
Oh my gosh, I falling in love with Gardner Minshew.
Yeah.
Is he the new Nick Foles?
Dude, there's only one Nick Foles. Poor Nick Foles. He's never going to have a team of his own.
You know, for like a 22-year-old kid, that Gardner Minshew's got one hell of a, Doc Holliday mustache going on.
Oh, yeah, it's impressive.
Gardner Minshew is awesome.
I'm so glad you guys are saying that, because guess who Minshew's roster he's on? Yeah.
Oh, good, Cody. Good.
Cody, will you grow a mustache in for us?
Dude, you're not. We all play in this dynasty football league together. You are not allowed to own Gardner Minshew unless you're willing to rock a mustache.
Yeah.
Trade him to me, and I will rock a mustache.
I just had my wife force me to shave like 2 days ago, so I
Ask yourself a question, young man. Fantasy football or your wife? What's really more important to you?
You better answer that correctly.
No,
as a twice divorced man, let me tell you my answer to that.
Yeah.
So,
well, what is your answer? All right.
Listen,
Jarrett,
my fantasy team is always there for me.
Jarrett Stone says Chinese officials cut a meeting short and the market reacted to it. It goes back to the question we've been talking about forever. Do we expect this trade war to ever end during the Trump presidency? And it doesn't feel like it will, that we'll get resolution on it, Mark.
That's the dumbest thing for something to move. I remember when there was a headline, the meeting was cut short, and then like the market moved, and like 2 days later, both sides came out. They're like, we left like 10 minutes early.
Yep.
And it was so that they could like make their flights back home. It wasn't because like,
dude, computers run this thing though. Traders don't run this anymore. Computers get a negative headline and they'll pop it for a few minutes, and then we'll see it, and then they'll see if it sustains.
And by the
all
way,
I know is last time it was cut short, it wasn't even for like angry reasons. It was hey guys, we got to make this flight in an hour. Okay, let's call it.
And Mark actually reminded me earlier in the week, I got to ask everybody out there, obviously Tackle Trading is a membership site. We sell a service. It's a monthly service. Mark actually made a comment to me earlier in the week, Frank, and says, you guys don't hardly ever sell anything. You don't really push the product out there. And he reminded me that we do need to promote our subscription product. And I think a lot of that is I just like coming in and hanging out, hopefully the product will sell itself kind of thing. But a 15-day trial on our pro membership is kind of a no-brainer, Frank.
Well, listen, I did this a lot on the market recap because, I listened to Mark, or I guess. So I'll take this one. Of course, we've got our scouting reports coming up this week for all of our pro members. So be on the lookout for those. And if you are not a pro member, why not? Head over to tackletrading.com, shoot us an email, team@tackletrading. We'll get you hooked up with the 15-day free trial. You can come see what we are all about. Check the reports, check the courses, check the shows. Definitely worth your time. We're active on all the social media platforms, including Twitter. Definitely would encourage you to join us over there. Instagram, Facebook, even LinkedIn, I think technically. But hope to see you over there at Tackle Trading. Of course, you can find me at FrankMartin23 on Twitter as well.
Yeah, I love it. And I just dropped a link in the chat. If you're watching this and you're not currently a pro member, start a trial this weekend. Watch all the recordings from this week on the pro membership. And by the way, Frank does onboarding one-on-one with new members who are pro members. And if you are interested in talking to Frank one-on-one, getting some help, email team@Tackle Trading, and Mark will kind of coordinate that and communicate it. We take care of our members. There's no doubt about it. And in the chat here,
You
guys,
can have your own personal Frank Friday.
You can. That's why you never see me. I'm around. I'm just in the shadows.
Yeah, that's true. Not really in the shadows. You're working with people one-on-one all week. I mean, you do a dang good job with it too, Frank. I appreciate it.
Well,
I'm sure a lot of people out there actually watching the show met with you at some point.
Oh yeah, I've met with many of them. Yeah, we have a good time.
Yep. All right, guys. Great job. We got reports to get ready for and those kind of things. Mark, enjoy the weekend. Good luck fantasy football. Frank, as well. Sorry about the Broncos, dude. I know.
Hey, happy birthday. That one hurt because
Frank's a Bronco fan. I'm a Bears fan. It was a narrow game last weekend.
It was close, and I'd accepted defeat, and then all of a sudden, 2-point conversion. Now I'd accepted victory, and so that one was a gut punch. But I'm happy for you, and we'll get right back to it.
Yeah, that's the NFL. I've seen weird things. It reminded me of a Bears game. I don't know if you remember this from about 10 years ago where they played the Falcons and Matt Ryan came down, literally did the same kind of thing on us. We came down, scored, went up by like a point with 12 seconds to go. Matt Ryan got the kick to the 25, threw 2 deep passes, and they scored it with 1 second left. We got lucky, Frank. Let's call it like it is. We should have won the game going away earlier in the dang game, but
probably. But hey, a lucky win is better than an unlucky loss.
I
know from experience.
All right, guys. We'll see you guys on Monday. Enjoy it. Enjoy the weekend.
Thanks, everybody.